Came out in 1937, and a very doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it because I am the biggest Disney fan that I know.
And showing that, you try to...
I was going to get taken out of context, and I know that at this point I can't really...
Oh, he did.
Story with a guy who literally stalks her. Picked it up again. I'm being so serious. I watched it once.
Years ago.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours and she's not going to be dreaming about...
What happens when a studio that's ruled Hollywood for a century takes a fairy tale everyone knows, hands it to a star who can't stop talking, and watches it collapse in a heap of outrage and empty theater seats? Disney's live-action Snow White remake didn't just trip over itself. It face-planted so hard people are wondering if the Mouse House can ever recover. This isn't a simple misfire. It's a financial sinkhole, a cultural lightning rod, and maybe the loudest alarm bell yet that Disney's golden age is rusting fast. How did a company that's turned nostalgia into billions end up here, with a flop so big it's rewriting their playbook? The stakes aren't just about one movie, they're about a legacy teetering on the edge. Buckle up, we're diving into the mess, piece by jaw-dropping piece. Let's start with the cold, hard cash, or lack of it. Disney sank $270 million into making this film, then tossed another $140 million at marketing to convince us it was worth seeing. They've done this before with hits like The Lion King, which clawed in $1.6 billion, or Aladdin, soaring past $1 billion. Snow White. It limped out last month with a pathetic $43 million domestic opening, Disney's lowest ever for a live-action remake. Globally, it's at $143 million after 2 weeks, nowhere near the $428 million needed to break even. Analysts are whispering about a $115 million loss, dwarfing flops like Dumbo's $70 million stumble in 2019 or the Little Mermaid's shaky $80 million shortfall in 2023. Insiders say test screenings last year already hinted at trouble, lukewarm reactions, awkward pacing, even some walkouts, but Disney plowed ahead. Studio execs were visibly shaken when the first weekend numbers rolled in, one source claimed, with some calling it a catastrophe we didn't see coming. Except the signs were screaming from miles away, and they ignored every one. The spark that lit this dumpster fire? Rachel Zegler, the actress Disney chose to wear Snow White's crown. She didn't just reinterpret the role, she grabbed a torch and burned the original to the ground. In a 2022 interview with Entertainment Weekly, she called the 1937 classic extremely dated, saying it was weird for women to be passive or dream of love. The prince? A stalker, she sneered, promising her Snow White would ditch romance for leadership. Fans lost it. On X, one post racked up thousands of likes. She's trashing a masterpiece Walt Disney risked everything for. Reddit threads exploded. Why cast someone who hates the source? While YouTube rants piled up, some hitting millions of views. One viral comment hit hard. She's spitting on my childhood. Disney hyped this as a bold reimagining in early trailers, but Zegler's words made it sound more like a demolition. The internet wasn't ready to forgive, and the flames kept spreading. You'd think Disney would have hit the brakes when the backlash started years ago. Nope, they doubled down like they were invincible. Back in 2023, rumors swirled about internal panic, executives debating whether to delay the film again after Zegler's comments tanked early buzz. One insider told Variety the studio was split down the middle, with some begging to pivot and others insisting her modern take would win over younger viewers. They stuck with her, letting her ramble in interviews about turning Snow White into a kingdom-ruling boss instead of the gentle soul fans adored. They misread the room badly. Even casual watchers, folks who don't care about woke debates, felt insulted. I wanted magic, not a lecture, one theatergoer griped online. Another posted, I'm no purist, but this feels like a TED Talk, not a fairy tale. Disney bet their loyal base would eat it up anyway. Instead, they walked away, leaving a cultural critic with a loud voice ready to pounce on the wreckage. Jordan Peterson saw this train wreck coming a mile off. The guy's been hammering Disney for years, saying they've ditched timeless storytelling for preachy agendas. With Snow White, he unleashed a full takedown. Disney's magic was in archetypes, universal truths that hit you in the gut, he said in a recent podcast. It's a talentless shell draped in ideology. He argues the original's innocence and bravery got swapped for a shallow girl power trope that feels like it was written by a focus group. Walt built stories that lasted generations, he added. This betrays him. Peterson ties it to a bigger Hollywood rot, chasing trends over crafting myths. When you abandon resonance for relevance, you lose everyone, he warned. The numbers back him up. Snow White's 29% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and 19% audience rating scream rejection. Fans aren't just tuning out, they're fed up. And another voice from Disney's past was about to make it even louder. The backlash hit fever pitch when David Hand stepped in. He's the son of the 1937 film's supervising director, and he wasn't here to play nice. This isn't a reimagining, it's a disgrace, he told The Telegraph. My dad and Walt spent years perfecting a timeless tale of heart and wonder. They'd be turning in their graves. His words cut deep, fueling fan petitions. Over 50,000 signed one demanding Disney respect the classics. What stung more? Even progressive critics, usually all in for empowered reboots, turned on this one. The Guardian called it a hollow sermon with no heart, while ex-posts from left-leaning fans echoed the same. I wanted strong Snow White, not a corporate checklist. The film's girl boss vibe, ditching the prince, sidelining kindness, felt forced, not inspiring. One viral tweet summed it up, empowerment's great, but this is just pandering with no soul. Hand's outrage crystallized it. Disney wasn't just losing traditionalists, they were losing everyone. And what came next turned the heat up even higher. Rachel Zegler didn't stop at trashing the original. She kept contradicting herself, making the mess uglier. 1 minute, she's on Jimmy Kimmel, gushing about loving the Snow White ride at Disneyland. The next, an old interview with Gal Gadot resurfaces where she admits she found it scary and only wrote it once. Fans pounced. Which is it, Rachel? Then there's her Instagram post posing like the classic Snow White, captioned, Homage to Adriana Caselotti, who I owe everything. The same woman she'd called dated and weird. Comments tore her apart, too late to play nice, while others dug into her hypocrisy. It got worse when she waded into politics. Last November she posted, Trump fans will never know peace, sparking threats against Gadot and forcing Disney to scramble with extra security. Crew whispers leaked too. One grip claimed she acted like she owned the set, clashing with staff over petty stuff. Producer Mark Platt flew to New York, begging her to pull. The financial fallout's a horror show all its own. That $43 million opening? It dropped 66% to $14 million the next weekend, worse than the Little Mermaid's 58% slide in 2023. Marketing was a ghost town. Pre-sales kicked off less than 2 weeks before release, a sign Disney knew it was toast. They spent $140 million on ads, but the campaign was a disaster. A single teaser trailer got ratioed with dislikes, and TV spots barely aired. One marketing exec admitted to Deadline, we didn't know how to sell it without angering more people. The film's at $143 million worldwide now, against a $410 million total cost. Analysts say it'll cap out under $200 million, leaving a $115 million hole, and that's generous. Rumors are flying Disney might shelve other remakes in the pipeline, like Hercules. Disney Plus subscriptions are dipping too. Millions reportedly canceled since this mess unfolded, with one ex-user raging, I'm not paying for this garbage anymore. They're not in sync with what fans want, one analyst told Forbes. The phrase go woke, go broke keeps ringing, and this flops the poster child. So where does this leave Disney? Snow White isn't just a bomb, it's a reckoning. They took a story Walt built with heart, handed it to a star who couldn't stop swinging, and watched it crumble under outrage and apathy. Jordan Peterson calls it a symptom of a brand that's lost its soul. David Hand sees it as a slap to his father's legacy. Fans across the board, left, right, casual, diehard, are walking away. The studio that turned fairy tales into a $200 billion empire might have pushed nostalgia too far, chasing trends instead of magic. Walt once said, we keep moving forward, but we never forget the past. This feels like forgetting everything that mattered. The ripple's bigger than one film. Industry insiders say studios like Warner Brothers are rethinking their own reboots, spooked by Disney's crash. Is this the wake-up call Disney needs to rediscover what made them giants, or the crack that sinks them for good? Tell us what you think below. Can they bounce back, or is the fairy tale over? Stick around. Hollywood's next disaster